Life in the hells is not that bad. Life in hell is not that bad. This is at 1 billion times a second. Your mind is going through this. Whether you are in the human world, the Deva world, the Brahma world. Regardless of how much you have, what you have. Not relevant. Because you can't fix that problem. You can't stop your mind from passing away. Whatever has arisen, when the causes cease to exist, it will pass away. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. So if you can't stop it, then there's only one thing you can stop, and that is attachment. Attachment is caused by ignorance. And that ignorance is, this thing that you're holding on to is pleasurable. You see? Seriously? What you really have to do is something that's really simple. You don't have to do a lot. It's very simple. Did you not think that attaining Nibbana was a really hard thing to do? Before you started listening to the sermons? Nibbana, oh God, don't talk to me about Nibbana. When are we ever going to be able to do that? Maybe when Maitri Buddha comes into this world, just maybe, if we are lucky, we'll do it. But attaining Nibbana is not so difficult. What you need to understand to attain Nibbana is not so difficult. It's not difficult, but it's very subtle. It's very subtle. It's like what I usually say, threading a needle. It's very, you look somebody trying to thread a needle, and if they're failing, what do you generally do? What are you going to say? Give it here, will you? Can't you even do that? Come on, give it to me. I'll do it to you. I'll do it for you. And then you try it. And then you realize, although it looks so easy, it's very subtle. You have to have a lot of patience. And you have to have a good view, good eyesight as well. You have to see, you have to know what you're doing. You have to be very careful and very patient. Attaining Nibbana is like that. It's like threading a needle. It's not difficult, but it's very subtle. You can go off-road very easily. There are lots of doctrines which look like Nibbana, but it's not Nibbana. Like fake gold. When there's fake gold, you have to be very careful. For as long as there is no fake gold, then any gold you buy is going to be the genuine stuff. But when there's fake gold, now you have to be very careful. There are lots of teachings out there that are like Nibbana, but not Nibbana. Some people talk about extinguishing the Rupa. Rupa Niruddha. Rupa Nirodha. Vedana Nirodha. Sanya Nirodha. Sankara Nirodha. Vijnana Nirodha. Then a lot of people have come and spoken to me. They talk about their experiences, and half the time I just sit down and listen, and after they've said their piece, I go, oh, good. Good luck. If I were given $1 for every time someone came up to me, not to ask me, but just tell me what they know, they just want someone to listen to them. If I were given $1 for every time someone came, I'd be a millionaire by now. Again. They've gone down a wrong path. And when you've gone a long way down the wrong rabbit hole, it's very difficult to pull them back. Because of, what did we talk about last week? Ego. Because of ego. People seldom like to listen. People like to talk. People like to say what they know. The problem is they've said what they know to everybody that they associate with. None of them understand what it is they're going on about. So they think, surely a Swami must understand. So they come to the temple and now they start talking to us. So I just keep nodding my head. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Really good, good, good. If you think that's right, keep doing it. What else am I supposed to say? I used to try to put them on the right track, but they wouldn't listen. Oftentimes they would go upset. Oftentimes they might even go offending the Swamin ones that they were talking to, and doing them more damage than they had before they came in. That Swaminatha doesn't know anything. What a waste of my time. Weren't they better off not coming into the monastery? And people do this. Because there are lots of things that look like Nibbana, but not Nibbana. If the Buddha tried to extinguish Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana at the point of becoming a Buddha, how did he go and speak to people? How did he know that Venerable Ananda was approaching him? Again, it's a sight coming through the eye. The brain is giving Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana to the mind. So if becoming a Buddha or becoming an Arahant is about extinguishing Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, how did the Buddha know that Ananda is coming towards him? He wouldn't, would he? No. There's only one way to attain Nibbana. That's the Buddha's way. Don't try to discover other paths. Because had there been other paths, he would have taught us that. When the Buddha says there's only one cause for suffering, don't try to go looking for another one. Excuse me. There is only one cause for suffering. Not two. Only one. Not half. There's only one. And that is attachment. Is it not so clear to you by now that attachment is the cause of all suffering? Every example we come through, every time we talk about your life experiences, is there ever a time where you have suffered where there is no attachment playing part in that? Whether it's stress or anger or resentment or frustration or whatever, it's always attachment. Why do people get angry? You're attached to something, it doesn't work out the way you want, now you're angry. So how do you treat anger? Can you treat anger? Yes, count to 10, right? Isn't that how they teach you? Count to 10, and that's how you treat anger? Count to 10. You can't treat anger. You can treat attachment. When you're not attached to something, then it doesn't matter which way it turns out. If you like your tea hot, now you're attached to a hot cup of tea. Then when your tea goes cold, now you feel angry. The reason that you're feeling angry now is not because your tea is gone cold. It's because you're attached to a hot cup of tea. Treat that. Treat what you're attached to. If you're not attached to a hot cup of tea, now do you care how your tea comes? No. Test yourself in day to day. I think the other day someone asked me, give us some practical examples. Let's say at home, okay? You wake up and you want to get yourself a cup of tea. You go to the kitchen, you make yourself a cup of tea, and you make one, say, for your spouse as well. And you take it to them, and you leave it there. You say, hey darling, I've made you a cup of tea, come and have it when you're free. So they go away, they do go about their business, and then they come back, and now it's gone cold. Now they come and start shouting at you, hey, my tea's gone cold. Why did you bring me a cold cup of tea? I don't drink cold cups of tea, you know that. Now they start shouting at you, or they start blaming you for it. What is your immediate reaction? Is it not justification? Your immediate reaction is going to be, well, whose fault is it that it's gone cold? I brought you a hot cup of tea. You left it there, and now it's gone cold. Don't come blaming me. This is what you're going to say. You've just turned Devadatta back and given him a kick on his back. Have you or have you not? Devadatta came right into your arms, offering you an opportunity to fulfill your perfections. You said, no, not today, come back tomorrow. You know what's that they put on homes? Balagiri dose. Ada neme heta. It's like Devadatta, not today, come back tomorrow. So what you're saying is, I'm not so keen on Nibbana today, maybe tomorrow. Don't do that. Don't be the one who says something back. Really try this out, at least next week, in the following week, before you come back next week, try it out. Someone complains, my tea's gone cold. I'm so sorry, let me go and get you another one. It's going to be so difficult to say that. So incredibly difficult. Try it if you can. Someone says the food's too salty. I'm so sorry. Let me go and get you another plate. Someone says, why haven't you swept the house? And you just did. A few minutes ago, only he came in with his shoes on. And now that's where all the dust and mud is coming from. You know that. He doesn't want to accept that. What is going to be your immediate reaction? How dare you say, I didn't sweep the house. That's what I've been doing all day. You walk in, mister, with your shoes on, and now it's dusty and it's dirty. You get the broom, you sweep it. That's how you might feel like saying. You just asked Devadatta, turn around, and gave him a kick on his back. In other words, you are saying, Nibbana, not today, not so keen on, maybe tomorrow. Fight the urge. Fight the urge to come back with a response. Don't feel that you always have to have the last word. You'll feel that. I want to have the last word. I have to have the last word. I must say the last word. Not you. I must. Fight it. Be stubborn. Not with the other person. Be stubborn with ego. I think I said to you last week, whenever ego says do something, be stubborn and do the opposite. So when your husband says, why haven't you swept the house? Now your ego is going to say, you sweep. I do it every day of the week. Today is your turn. You do it. No, fight your ego. Be stubborn. You tell him, I'm sorry, darling. Let me go and get the broom. I'll sweep it right now. Or if you're busy, I'm just in the middle of something. I'll do it in a little while. That sounds like a coward, isn't it? A real coward. It's not like you to do something like that, is it? To behave like a coward. Does not tally with your status, does it? A well-educated person like me, it's not right that I should be saying like that, bending over backwards for other people. You live in my house. My parents gave me this house. You came here and now you're living in my house and you have the guts to ask me to sweep the house when I've already swept it. These are some of the feelings that will come from inside. Fight them. If you are serious about Nibbana, fight it. This is Mara. You have nowhere to go looking for Mara. That is Mara. Mara is not in Paranimita Vasavartiya. There's Mara there, right there with you. Right when you're feeling that anger, that resentment, I just did it. Fight it. If you win that battle this time round, you're going to feel so happy you did it. Be the carpet on which people come and wipe their feet. If you're serious about Nibbana. If not, that's okay. If you're serious about Nibbana, be like the carpet on which people wipe their dusty feet. And when they come in with their shoes, they've got all sorts of stuff on their shoes. Sometimes it's dust, sometimes it's poo. Be that. Nivatya. Be the coward. Whatever you want, do to me. Provided they're not causing you physical harm, because then it becomes difficult. Mentally, let people walk all over you. This is not something you would learn in a personality development class, would it? Let people walk all over you? Are you kidding me? But if you want to be someone with real character, someone who has real guts, someone who has a real strong personality, then you're the one who can stand up to that and not fight back and be okay with that. Ask yourself, are you that kind of person? If not, practice it. It's with practice that makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. The first time is going to be so difficult. How many times have you been faulted when it wasn't your fault? At home? I don't have to give you examples, you know plenty of them. Where you've been faulted at work, you've been blamed, but it wasn't your fault. Something else went wrong. Project was late. You're the project manager, you get blamed for it, but someone else, some supplier, it was their problem. They were late. Well, the problem is at work, you're going to have to keep your job. So you're going to have to justify. But can you justify without feeling anger? That's the important thing. If you're justifying, that's okay, because you're expected to point out right from wrong, particularly at the workplace. But if you're feeling anger inside, now you have failed. You have failed. You might look victorious in the face of the world, but in front of the Lord Buddha, you have failed. In front of who do you want to be victorious? Every man and his dog? Or the Supreme Buddha? Whose face would you like to see a smile on because of you? Every man and his dog or the Supreme Buddha? This is the Supreme Buddha we are talking about. It's like, how did you learn to ride a bicycle? None of us got on the bike and started riding it first time we got on it, right? It was the first time we got on a bike. We all fell. But that didn't stop us. We got back on it again and started riding again. And what happened? Sure as hell, fell again. But we got back on it again. Until when? Until you were able to maintain your balance. Not until tomorrow, not until next week, until we were able to maintain our balance. Until we were able to reach our goal. So that's how long you have to keep fighting it. Remember, you're trying to do something today, madam, that you have never tried to do in samsara. In samsara, we have always done the complete opposite. Whenever someone said something, you always had two things to say back in return. It was an eye for an eye, wasn't it? A life for a life. That's what we were used to in samsara. But now, that's not who we want to be. That's who we were. That's not who we want to be. So you're going to feel anger. Yes. And the desire is the same. When you're feeling raga, could be for anything. Whether it's rupa raga, shabda raga, gandha raga, rasa raga, sparsha raga. Particularly young people have to be very careful. Because now the world is, there's so much choice out there. You pick up your phone, go on Facebook, everything's there. You go on the internet, absolutely everything's there. You can ruin your life on the internet if you wanted to. Can't you? You can if you want to. Because it's prevalent now. This is why I say, I think some time ago I encouraged parents and I invited parents, have that open dialogue with your children. Teach them about raga, dvesha, moha. And talk to them and tell them, Puta, if ever you see somebody, a boy or a girl, doesn't matter. You don't know these days. People's minds, how they bend. What sort of attractions they have these days. If you ever see somebody and you feel desire, you feel the want to go and indulge in whatever activity with them, feel free to come and talk that over with me first. With Aati or with Ammi. Let's have a chat first. Let's be open about it. Because if you take the stick, if you start to give them the cane treatment, the moment they come and talk to you about it, they're not going to come back a second time. Then they're going to go looking for a friend to share their experience with. And chances are, their friend is going to be worse than them. Then you will have failed as a parent. So as a parent, keep those dialogues open with your children. Because now, back in the days of my parents and their parents, they didn't have to talk about these things a lot. Because sex and drugs wasn't that much of a problem. But now it is. It's a huge problem. And you know it because you have children. You know it because you are key players in society. Perhaps some of you are involved in not sex and drugs, but in activities to stop them and save our youth from such issues. So you know how serious this problem is now. So if you don't open that dialogue with your children, then what's going to happen to your children is the same thing that has happened to many other children. The likes that you are helping today to fix, to recover, to restore. Have that dialogue. Keep it open. Make sure that your children know that they can trust you. Nowadays you can't trust anybody. Can they? Can't trust anybody now. Why? Because this is a world of consumers and suppliers. Everyone's just after something else from somebody else, not caring what it's going to do to them. For as long as I get what I want, to hell with you. That's how people think. To hell with you as long as I get what I want from you. It's really sad that we have to talk about these things, isn't it? In a Sugati world, in a human world, where we've come to attain Nibbana, a chance we've all had to come and attain Nibbana, we are today having to talk about stopping children from being abused by sex and drugs. I wouldn't mind if I was talking to a bunch of dogs. That would be okay. But no, I'm talking to humans. And we are having to talk about sex and drugs. What a pity. What a shame. Not that you're engaged in any of that. I know that you're not because of the Dhamma. But I'm saying your children are still young. They're going into a world which is so dangerous. Extremely dangerous. So have those conversations, particularly those people listening online. So keep them with the Dhamma for as much as you possibly can. Bring them along to sermons. Of course, remind them how you have to behave during a sermon, because otherwise it can be distracting, not just to them but others as well. And that could do them more harm than good. But bring them along. Give them the opportunity to receive what it is you're receiving. What changed your life is only what's going to change their life. Nothing else. The Buddha can't save you. The Sangha can't save you. It's the Dhamma that's going to save you. All the Buddha and the Sangha are doing are bringing the Dhamma into your lives. That's all. This is like a sandwich. 2 slices of bread. In the middle is the yummy stuff. The cheese and bacon and tomato, that's in the middle. On the either side is the slices of bread. Well, to eat the cheese, lettuce and tomato and bacon, you need the 2 slices of sandwich, the 2 slices of bread. That's what the Buddha and the Sangha are. But what you need is the Dhamma. Okay. So on that note, we'll conclude the sermon then. So what's the homework for this week? Do the opposite of what your ego says. Be stubborn, not with other people, but with your ego. Whenever someone complains, whenever someone blames you, don't be the one who talks back. Children, you shouldn't do that anyway with your parents, full stop. But even in your families, right? Husbands, wives, don't talk back. At least try it out for a week, see what happens. You'll be impressed by what you can do at the end of that week. If you try it out, you will be so impressed, I guarantee. At the end of that week, you will feel like you're on top of the world. Kanti paramang tapotitikka. The Buddha said, Kanti is ivasima, patience. Practice patience. This is a practice that beats all other practices. Practice patience. Nibbanang paramang vadanti Buddha. Buddha is coming to this world to preach Nibbana. Nahi pabbajito parupagati. Pabbajita. So he speaks of the monks. But can you not apply this to yourselves? I'm a monk in mind as well as in body. What can you be? In mind. Nothing can stop you from that. Be a monk in mind, be a nun in mind. Your mind can mind transformation, there are no restrictions. Nahi pabbajito parupagati. Para is the others. Parupagati. To insult others, to offend others. A pabbajita never does that. A monk never offends others. Never insults others, never abuses others. Samano hoti parang vihete antu. To be a sramana, you have to practice vihimsa or avihimsa. Non-violence. Being kind, being generous to others. But where's the start of this? Patience. See how patient you are. If you are serious about Nibbana, then there mustn't be a limit to your patience. So practice. So that's your homework for this week. I'll ask you next week how it went. You better come with some examples. Okay. So we'll chant the Arya Maitri for a moment and we'll conclude the sermon there. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fire of birth, freed from the fire of decay, freed from the fire of illness, freed from the fire of death, freed from the fire of sorrow, freed from the fire of lamentation, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fire of suffering, freed from the fire of discontentment, freed from the fire of exhaustion, freed from the fire of disappointment, freed from the fire of clinging on to the five aggregates, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed